All right, welcome, fellow TFFL owners, to another TFFL webcast. It's Wednesday, October 21st, 2015, and we're looking ahead to Week 7 TFFL action now. We are squarely in the middle of our season now. I'm Stick, managing editor of TFFL Media, leader of the 4-2 Aliens, and joined as always by Chief, our commissioner.
Goes by quickly, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Skipper of the Sponge Fishermen, who are starting to rebound, as we talked about last week. Good Week 6, Chief. Hank, the czar and CEO of the K-Wheels.
Good evening.
And
concern in my neighborhood.
Yes, three of us are happy this week. One of us is depressed.
Yes.
And Berto, our two-time defending champs, are still undefeated. Jack's Giant Killers. Welcome.
Hey, Stick. Who probably played their best game of the season?
We're going to talk actually about several of our teams this week. So we'll all have a chance to analyze our own squads a little bit. We'll talk about some other teams. Try to cover at least half the league this week. Let's start, as always, with our TFFL trivia question for you to think about as we debate various things.
Nick, you have a lot to live up to with the last couple trivia questions.
Well, this one's going to be
top yourself.
This one's going to be an easy one, but nonetheless, I think it's going to introduce a whole new TFFL achievement that we can all start to shoot for going forward.
Is it the Mongols?
The Mongols. Well, I'll give you one clue. The Mongols are not part of the answer here.
Okay.
Okay. Only 3 TFFL franchises have ever dominated so much in a single season that they ultimately accomplished a TFFL Triple Crown. They won the scoring title, they won the Marley Trophy for best regular season record, and they went on to win the Pac Bowl. 3 times in the TFFL's 18-year modern era. Name one or more of those 3 teams.
Is it 3 different teams, or did somebody do it twice?
That's a good question. 3 different franchises. 3 different franchises over 18 years, once each. So about once every 6 years, obviously, somebody is that strong that they outscore everybody throughout the year. They have good fortune, manage their lineups well, and win enough games to be the Marley Trophy holders, and then continue that dominance throughout the playoffs and win the Pac Bowl.
I think I got all 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. And I'll give you the years in which all 3 of them did it. Okay, let's jump in to our roundtable chat here. We've been, for the most part, through our first few webcasts this year, we've been looking back at the draft. We've been forecasting how teams might finish in 2016, wondering whether early season starts by various franchises are for real. Again, we're squarely in the middle of the season now. We're through with 6 games. We're about to start Week 7 here. Things are suddenly very real. We got lots to talk about. First, I don't really have a question. I just wanted to bring up the Mongols-Hams game, a classic even in Week 6 of the season. 79-78. I'm sure Terry's blood pressure was going up and down, or probably up most of that evening. Thought the Mongols were going to lose. I'm sure Michael and Smithers ended the night depressed. But for the rest of us, at least, those of us who were dorks enough to watch the whole game and watch the TFFL scores play out, this is why we play the TFFL. This was, high-scoring, 1-point outcome, come from behind victory. Down to the last minutes of Monday Night Football. This again wasn't quite the Giant Killers K-Wheels title game, but it was very much like that. I had a lot of fun watching that.
Yeah, it was good. I did stay up, and I was watching it, and that you're exactly right. That's what makes this all very fun. Is it can be that close.
I liked Michael's comment in the chat. This hobby sucks.
Yeah, this hobby sucks. It does. This hobby sucks, and we're all part of it. Jesus.
I'll tell you, it adds a whole other dimension. I was too hungover on Monday because a bunch of us got together to watch the games for about 9 hours at a sports bar on Sunday. So I unfortunately could not make the duration. But But honestly, I love staying up and watching these games on a Sunday night or a Monday night when it's like that. If I have, even if I have no rooting interest in the game or don't care about the outcome of the actual NFL game, whatever it is, but seeing those types of games is awesome. You're right on stick. It adds a whole other element, enjoyment to the game. So.
Chief, did you didn't watch it all, did you? You usually shut down a little early.
Yeah, I shut down probably about 5 minutes into the third quarter, which is my usual routine. Either halftime or whenever I finish the bones of the commissioner's report, whichever comes first. And I and I really don't get into the TFFL scores. I think it's great that so many people do. I can't imagine there's very many other fantasy leagues that happens, where people are tuned into a game they have no rooting interest or betting interest or fantasy interest to see how two other guys in their league, how that affects the standings. I think it's fantastic.
Well, it's funny because so the sports bar we were at Sunday, and I do this rarely when I go to watch the games, other than draft weekend, because I have the package. But a bunch of us went out on Sunday. There was 6 or 7 guys there. Kramer was one of them. And the debate about our scoring came up. And in the one league that another guy's running, it's decimal points, it's annoying, and everything else. And they didn't get the beauty of how many close games that we have in the TFL. Because the scores are a lot more. It's just a whole different thing.
You have PPRs and you have defensive scores and turnover points and.
Right. So even if it is a close game, it's and I guess that can be somewhat exciting. But there's decimal points. It's a whole different feel to it. I think our league is absolutely unique in that, in the drama that it can create, because the scores are usually a little bit lower. You don't have things like decimals, and the way our yardage is and all that. It's a bit different, which I think it adds an element of excitement that other leagues don't have.
Yeah, in case you missed it, I mean, essentially the Giants were put in a position in that second half where clearly they weren't going to run the ball very much, and here was Rashad Jennings, sitting 9 yards away from the point that the Mongols needed to tie, and on their final drive, for whatever reason, they brought Jennings back in instead of Green. He gets a 9-yard run to get to 60 yards. He catches a pass to Rashad Jennings doesn't catch a ton of passes, gets just enough to get to 20 yards. And then, poof, like that, it went from what looked like a loss for the Mongols to a win.
But I'll tell you that that was a step down from the excitement from the previous Monday night. Le'Veon Bell last touchdown to swing that game.
Right.
On the last play of the game, and we had 4. As you said in the commissioner's report, we had 4 TFFL games in play on that night. So yeah, I look forward to the Monday nights. Okay, let's talk about the Aliens a little bit real quick. The season's first big trade. There will probably be some bigger ones. But the Aliens get running back LeGarrette Blount. We give up a second-round pick next year. We give up injured rookie wide receiver Kevin White, who was our second-round pick this year. Blount paid immediate dividends with 2 touchdowns in a Week 6 win for the Aliens over the Impact. Chief, you on email acknowledged it was a good trade.
Yeah.
No other owners actually weighed in, which I take to mean people thought it was a fair trade that made a lot of sense, which almost never happens. I know Phil thinks I overpaid. So, Berto, I'll turn to you. Why don't you break the tie here, and then Hank and Chief can further weigh in if they want.
No, I think it was a fair trade. I don't think you overpaid. I actually like Blunt better than Deion Lewis in that backfield. I think for a goal line back and a big back, Blunt's probably 230 or more. He's the goal line guy and a great offense. That's a key thing. You always want great players on good teams or good players on great teams. And I think you're going to have success with him. And I think once it starts getting a little bit later in the season and maybe the Pats turn to the running game a little bit more, I think he's going to get even more carries. So I think it was a great trade. And the other part of it is you have enough young guys just based upon your draft and Jordy Nelson and Sammy Watkins. I mean, you have enough youth anyhow, so giving up Kevin White is not a huge deal. So I think it's a good trade for you. So honestly, maybe you even won a little bit by a little bit, but it's close.
Look, my immediate gut reaction was Stick overpaid for somebody to plug in last week, and I didn't really looking at his roster of young guys that I know he's excited about. I think it's maybe tough to find room for Blunt as a keeper going forward. Maybe not. Maybe maybe he is as good as you're saying he is later this year. And obviously he was great last week. So kudos. That's great. I thought it was a lot to pay with Kevin White and the second rounder. That's 2 seconds basically. But I'm not thinking it's as bad as I initially did.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what the Aliens needed, and I think the price paid was exactly what the Impact would have needed to make it worth his while. And so again, I can't imagine it took you very long to consummate that trade. Again, like Burrow said, you still have a Brashard Perryman who's shown exactly as much as a Kevin White has thus far in their careers.
Yep.
So yeah, I have no problem with moving off from Kevin White right now. You're leading your division. You're in the inside track to a playoff spot.
And you're always gonna have a market. It's not easy, but you can always get rid of some guys. You're not gonna get market value or as high market value as you're gonna get in season, but for some of us at the end of this year who have some guys who are older, we're going to be looking to the Aliens to pull some of those people off the team. You're maybe not going to get as much for them, but you'll have trade value for the guys that you can't keep.
Yeah, Blunt is a keeper next year, whether it be for the Aliens or somebody else.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Hank, you suggested he was a week 6 fill-in, but Blount is a guy who, in the 3 games he's played, remember he was suspended week 1. Week 2, he really didn't play in his first game back. 18 carries for 78 yards and 3 touchdowns. 13 carries for 74 yards. 16 carries for 93 yards and a touchdown, plus a receiving touchdown last week. He's getting touches. He's going to run for 1,000 yards. He's probably going to get a dozen touchdowns. And,
he is the closer on that team. They sprint out to a big lead, and then it's feed Blunt the ball in the second half. So yeah, look at this.
I get it. I do. I really do. Like I said, I think I've been thinking about that. And I think maybe that's exactly the right price to pay. And let's see that as the weather changes, it'll probably be really good.
It was more than I was willing to pay, Ralph. But in hindsight, I think it's good.
And real quick, I really felt like I had to do it this past week. I was playing the AMPAC. I could not let Blount get 15 points against me and that difference be the swing, and I lose to Ralph and give up a win I really need if I want to make the playoffs. But there are also, as we will keep talking about, there are very few teams that may be willing to trade for a long time. And I felt like if I wanted to make myself a stronger team, I had to do it now before somebody else traded for Blount, because there's not a lot of guys you're going to be able to find on the market that are quality running backs.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Trading for him before you're playing the AMPAC. Great move before you're playing me the following week. I think it's a good move. Hopefully he's a bust this week, and successful after this week.
I might put Kristen Michael in for him this week.
Oh boy, that guy's still terrorizing me.
That pains me to hear. Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about another panelist here real quick. The Giant Killers, and they deserve to be talked about. They're 6-0, and listen, after their 2 titles, they're 2-time defending champs. After these 2 titles, I think we've all somewhat smugly looked at them and said it's an old team, it's a fragile team. No first and second rounders in this year's draft. They're not going to be able to acquire the quality depth that they'll surely need if injuries strike. And you know what? Injuries struck. Arian Foster went down in the preseason. Tony Romo got injured early in the season. Marshawn Lynch has been banged up. Young stud running back Jeremy Hill, not old, but he's now taken a step back into a timeshare. And these guys are 6-0, and they're the second highest scoring team in the league right now. Can we analyze this and find a secret that the Giant Killers have, that Berto has? Sort of a la Nick drafting veteran running backs at good spots. Is it investing in kicker Steven Gostkowski early every year? Is that his key?
Like you actually touched on what it is, and he's the one owner, or the owner who, to the greatest degree, he doesn't overvalue draft picks. That's why he has no first and second, or he'll trade a bunch of draft picks to move up in the draft. And I was the co-owner with him for a number of years, and it used to frustrate me a little bit. But he always wanted to move the draft picks and get proven talent instead of taking a chance on a rookie. And his thing, he always said, was, besides the rookies, we're looking at guys. I don't know what the math is right now. The 85th best guy available, is going to be in the draft. Yeah. So I think it's proven to work well for him, and it's hard to come around. I mean, we all understand it conceptually. I think it's hard when push comes to shove, especially if you're a team who is middle of the pack or worse, to start trading number 1 picks and high number 2 picks to get some of that excess roster talent that's available around before the keeper deadline. Also, unrelated, maybe we can come back to it though after we all talk about this a little bit. We've talked about a Tom Brady dilemma. Does Berto have a Tony Romo dilemma coming up?
The first question before Berto probably does have a Tony Romo dilemma, but Berto has done a really great job of finding the right building blocks for his team that have performed for him as he needs to, and finding plug-ins when needed to fill in for guys getting hurt or losing their larger opportunity. And I give him great kudos to that. I mean, I think he's 6-0. He's won the last 2 Pac Bowls. We all got to say he's the guy to beat. There's no question. And somebody freaking beat him, please.
All right, well, let me answer my own question. I'll give you 3 quick responses on this one. One, I was not joking. I think Stephen Gostkowski is part of his secret sauce here. We talk every week about these close games in the TFFL, and a strong kicker is going to get you 10 points every week. It might be the difference, even if it's just 1 game a year. 2, I'll amend Chief. You made a very good point, but I'll amend that a little bit. Berto often does value draft picks, but he values early draft picks.
Yeah,
he's done it.
If
he never earns those early draft picks by virtue of his record. It's him being aggressive and trading up. And if he can't, then he's happy to trade back, because there's not a lot of value in picking 12th versus 24th or 36th. So he's gotten Arian Foster by trading with me for the number 3 overall spot several years ago. Jeremy Hill by trading up to the number 4 spot, I think it was.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is I think, and we've seen this with Nick, I mentioned it a little bit, the veteran players. And Berto doubled down on that a little bit this year. It continues to pay off. Berto, you want to reveal any secrets?
No, I mean, I languished for a while too. I had a very bad stretch, I think, before the last 7 years. Yeah, I mean, the draft pick thing is absolutely it. I look at the back half of the first round, and I oftentimes, and then I'll go back and I look at the year prior, and I'm like, that guy was the 7th pick or the 8th pick. Honestly, I think it's changed in the last couple of years. I think we're seeing more rookies and particularly more rookie wide receivers, and that's kind of the nature of the NFL a little bit more, that all these guys are seeing more playing time anyhow. But I think if you look at the last couple TFL drafts, there's more and more rookies in there, and there's less guys like Miles Austin or whoever you want to throw in that's a shitty vet.
Mike Sims Walker.
Whoever you want to throw in that. You don't see those guys as often now. You do see more rookies. So I think the rest of the league has caught up with that a little bit, maybe. And then building blocks: Gronkowski, Foster, Lynch. Those guys are those guys get in the end zone. Quarterback this year, I've got 4 different starting quarterbacks already, between Romo, Fitzpatrick, Flacco, and Dalton. I'm hoping Dalton is a long-term answer. I'm as shocked as anyone that I started off 6-0, because I really, with the age of my team, I thought I'd still be a playoff team this year. And again, things aren't over yet. Anything can happen from here. But I think I'll at least get a wild card. But I tried to extend this run as much as I could. And frankly, the guys who have a little age have been able to still stay on the field at least a fair amount of the time. Foster's been hurt here and there, and Romo's obviously hurt now, and Marshall was hurt last year. But they've been able to stay on the field at least enough when they're healthy. They're still very good when they're playing. It's a matter of them staying healthy. So yeah, I made some moves to try and extend the run. That was part of the strategy of drafting more veterans this year and not taking as many risks. And then maybe taking some flyers with FA and IR picks. A Jalen Strong is a flyer. Guys like that. If I can do something on that end and take a couple flyers with the FA IRs instead of the draft, that's kind of been my thought process with that. So yeah, I mean,
well,
making trades and staying aggressive, I think, is important in this league. And I think, if you just kind of sit back and sit on your hands, if you're at all paying attention and you're aggressive, you're going to be in good shape. If you're one of those two, you're going to probably have problems in our league because it is so competitive. If you're aggressive and you're not paying attention, you're going to have issues. If you're paying attention but you never make any moves, you're also going to have issues.
Okay, let's break things up here with a quick hitter question and a question about a team not on the panel here tonight. Let's talk quickly about the Slippery Beavers, a team that is surprisingly struggling, maybe not so surprisingly. But I think we knew, again, coming in with Aaron Rodgers, Le'Veon Bell, Demaryius Thomas, Alshon, Gordon Matthews, they had a pretty strong core, even if their running back core was a little shaky, and even if they didn't really hit home runs with their 3 first-round picks. I think that. What's that?
They didn't hit singles for the first 3-round picks.
But honestly, I think the big issue right now has nothing to do with those draft picks. It's Aaron Rodgers. He's playing fine. The Packers are winning, but he's not doing enough to carry that franchise. If he were putting up 30 points a game, I haven't looked at all their scores, but they might have another win or two, and we wouldn't be talking about it. Is Aaron Rodgers going to be able to carry this franchise this year? Does the lack of Jordy Nelson hinder his upside, or is he just in a little slump right now?
I think Jordy Nelson being gone obviously hinders his upside. I mean, that's their best receiver and his security blanket. I mean, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be just fine. I think the Packers are a really good football team. I think they play well as the season goes on and the games get tougher and mean more. So I wouldn't worry as much about Aaron Rodgers. I think the Beavers just aren't getting it across the board. I mean, Bell has missed a few games, and then he's been good, not great necessarily, and Thomas is suffering because Peyton is suffering, and he's struggling. He's struggling.
It's like the perfect storm of issues besides injuries, because honestly, the injuries haven't been that bad directly to their guys, right? That hasn't been the issue, but Cutler out has hurt Jeffrey, and Marshall moving maybe has hurt Jeffrey. You have Roethlisberger out, Mike Vick in, maybe hurt Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell was a little bit hurt, all right, or suspended rather. So you had that issue. But honestly, Jordan Matthews, Macklin gone. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that kind of hurt each one of their players, indirectly or directly. Besides, like the big crushing injury, but I got to tell you, and Peyton Manning struggled with Demaryius Thomas. But I think the Beavers are all of a sudden in some big time trouble because they have Aaron Rodgers on bye this week, and then Green Bay plays Denver and Carolina in weeks 8 and 9, and you figure Aaron Rodgers isn't going to blow it up like he did the first couple of games. It's probably going to be more like he has in the last few games, which is around 15. So he could be in trouble. If he loses 2 out of these 3 games, I'm shocked. But the Beavers are done.
Yeah, he's going through the same thing Nick went through last year and again this year. You know, where Drew Brees is still a great quarterback, but he's not, as you say, Stick, good enough to carry weak performances up and down the lineup. Peyton Manning's made Demaryius Thomas look much, much better than he actually is for years now. I mean, on any of the take Demaryius Thomas off the Broncos, and he's like I don't want to say Mike Wallace. He's probably a little better than that. But you know, he's a guy who you need a good quarterback to get him the ball where he needs it, and then just let his, he's no Calvin Johnson. Jordan Matthews is not a good wide receiver. He's and that's why Philly fans tell me that. They say he drops too many balls. He goes through huge, weeks where he doesn't do anything. He looks disinterested.
That's true. He's good. He's not great. He's good.
But look at his. Okay, who are his 3 second-round draft picks? He had no first. Or he went 3. He went with Devontae Parker, Joyke Bell, and
Matt Jones.
Okay, 2 of them have done nothing all year. I'm getting a lot of feedback. I'm going to turn down my volume a little bit. And Matt Jones is falling into Bryce Brown disease, where he just fumbles way too much to give him the ball more. Yeah, I think Rodgers could turn around, and I think they could make a run on a wild card spot. I don't want to say this is the last hurrah, but I think the Beavers are in for some rebuilding after this year.
Okay, let's now turn back to talking about one of our panelists here. We're going to talk about the K-Wheels. We talked about last week the Tom Brady dilemma that the Senators have. Chief, you just introduced the Tony Romo dilemma. We might talk about that in the future. But I want to talk right now about the Peyton Manning crisis. And specifically here, Hank and I talked about this today. There are 3 options. There's stick around with Peyton and have faith that he'll improve. There's switch to Teddy Bridgewater. We got some sort of echo going on here. Switch to Teddy Bridgewater, but he has not necessarily been outperforming Peyton. But maybe you just make the switch and start getting excited about the future, or do you have to go trade for somebody and hope that the quarterback at the top of your lineup turns you around and makes you a playoff team?
Well, this week at least, it's not a decision because Peyton's on a bye, so Bridgewater is starting. I wish Bridgewater would show me something that says start me. He hasn't at all. He hasn't done any better than Peyton except for like 1 week. If I believe I can win this year, a trade might be worth considering. But I don't know. I don't know yet, and I'm just still hopeful that Peyton will come back and do something.
I think the injury to Jamal Charles kind of changes the strategy there. And you just said it. Can I win this year? Can you win without your best player, your 2 best players really, which was last year's weeks 1 through 8 in Manning and Jamal Charles? And if you don't think you can, then you're right. You ride it out with one of the 2, or pick up a quarterback on a cheap and take a flyer. I think if you still have Jamal Charles, I think you'd be looking at a guy, or if you decide you can still make a run at it, you're looking at a guy like a Tony Romo. Well, that goes hurt, but one of those quarterbacks. Eli Manning is actually probably a pretty good example. Carson Palmer when Ben gets healthy, to give us a shot in the arm. But if the loss of Charles is too critical, then I think you're better off just riding it out.
Yeah, Joe Flacco is available.
Been there, done it. No.
No. Wow. It's I said all along, Manning, he'll come back. He'll be fine. He'll be okay. And I don't know. It's just going to get worse. Weather's going to get worse. Manning doesn't get any better as the season goes on. So that's a problem. I can't imagine Bridgewater is the answer. So I don't know. You got to ride it out, but you know you're in a good spot in terms of your record for a wild card or division run. Who knows? I could falter. Uh, you know, Doug Martin has been probably exceeded expectations, and Larry Fitzgerald has. So I mean, Fitzgerald, Julio Jones, and Doug Martin, and DeMarco Murray's playing better. So you got four good starters right there. Uh, is that mine or what?
Berto, mute yourself real quick. Are you mute?
Can't tell.
I think it's Berto.
No,
Is that
I
me?
can hear.
All right,
All right. Well,
Berto, are you muted?
No, I'm off mute now.
So mute yourself while I bring up our next topic here.
Okay.
I want to see if this echo goes away. All right. So yeah, let's switch gears to our next topic. No, we're still echoing somewhere here. All right. Berto, this question's really for you. You mentioned you had gone on DraftKings recently, and since everybody and their mother asks me, have I done it? I'm curious. I think the league is probably curious. What's it all about?
No, it's fun. I used to like to put a little money on the games on a sports betting website, and I think this is more fun actually because it's less money. You're playing fantasy football anyhow. You have a good idea what's going on. It's entertaining. It's just another. Put a few bucks on it. Not a lot of money. You can do a couple different things. You can either do like a tournament, where you're basically lottery ticket against thousands or potentially a couple 100,000 people to win some money. Or you can put, $10, $15, $20 down in a double up, and if you beat half the field, you double your money. And then they also have a private, competition too. So if you get 5 people and you want to play against each other for a 1 week, it's fun. I know I sound like I'm doing an ad here, but but it's cool. Obviously we're into this. We spend a lot of time on this, so it's just another outlet to throw a few bucks down in a fairly harmless manner. So
I think it's awesome that they have that and that you can do that. It's great, but they're going to shut it down because there's no way they cannot construe that as gambling.
yes, so the whole thing with Nevada lately and them saying it's gambling and the lawsuits and everything else that are going on. Who knows what's going to happen? So yeah, I mean they could they could squash it at some point. But as of right now, it's still up and running, and it's fun.
And you did DraftKings, not FanDuel?
I did. The reason why I did DraftKings is somebody sent me the DraftKings, and they were getting $10 or whatever, and I was going to get $10 or whatever it was. So I said, all right, I'll do DraftKings. I never even looked at FanDuel, and it's fine. The app is great. The website's pretty cool. Yeah, so I'm having fun with it.
Have you won money yet?
I'm actually down. I'm still getting my bearings, I think, on it. I did win a couple weeks ago, but I think I've put 200 in, and I'm at like 140, so I'm down 60 for the season.
All right.
Okay, let's do our Week 7 look ahead here. A quick run through the schedule, Chief. Tee up a game of the week for us to talk about, and then I'll give you the trivia answer on the back end of that.
All right. The look ahead, and of course, this is just reading straight from the commissioner's report. We have a Sponge the Devils, Senators and Mongols, Impact at Fats, Wheels at Lizards, Hams at Beavers. Game of the week, you got both of them on the panel right here. Giant Killers at the Aliens. So there it is. Aliens are the latest team to take their shot at the behemoth in the room. The way the Aliens have played the last 2 weeks, I mean, they certainly have a shot. I haven't looked at bye-week implications or anything else going on. Was this Green Bay, Denver, Chicago, and Cincinnati?
Yeah, the big issues are for Berto with Andy Dalton and Jeremy Hill on a bye. Aliens really aren't missing anybody.
Let's go, Aliens. Come on. Get it done. Get it done, Stick. Oh.
My
big enough to worry about in your team.
This is a big no-co battle. I mean,
yes.
If I lose to Stick, he's
I'm going to beat the Lizards. You're going to lose to Stick. I'm going to close within 2.
Yeah, this game is really about it's more than a one game, right? So this also gets the tiebreaker potentially for the no-co. So all of these types of games are more than just the one game. You're playing for that tiebreaker too, and you're playing out of your division. So it's big game. And for me, with Hill and Dalton on bye, that sucks. Fitzpatrick has played well. I'm actually happy that the Jets are playing New England. Hopefully they're throwing to come back. We'll see. But so that gives me a little bit of hope. And Fitzpatrick has looked pretty good, but right now he's in the lineup. I could think about Flacco, but at this point I'm going with Fitzpatrick.
All right.
All right. I fear the terrible feedback we're getting is on my end, so I'll try not to talk too much more. I've got your trivia answer, though. I want to make sure I give that to you. Again, we're looking for 3 franchises that have won the TFFL Triple Crown, a scoring title, a Marley Trophy, and a Pac Bowl in one season. I see Hank has got the Lizards, the AMPAC, and the Dirt Devils. One of those is incorrect. The Killers, the AMPAC, and the Dirt Devils. One of those is incorrect. The AMPAC, the Devils, and the Killers.
That's
Again,
right.
One of those is incorrect.
No, it's the Lizards, the AMPAC, and the Killers.
The correct answer is the 2011 Slippery Beavers.
Whoa.
I was going to do that.
Wow.
The 2004 Dirt Devils.
Oh.
And the 1998 Lizards.
I knew that.
Wow.
I've been wrong anyway, because I was positive the AMPAC was one of them.
I was sure the AMPAC were in there.
I was sure I was one of them, too.
Nice.
All right, Chief, some rants, perhaps, some closing thoughts and reminders?
I tell you what, I actually took 2 minutes at work today and said, do I have anything to rant about? And usually I don't put much thought into it. I don't plan them out. But I tried to, and I'm over the season, I think, on rants. I don't know.
How do you feel about the NFL live streaming its game?
The NFL what?
The live streaming of the game on Sunday on Yahoo.
I think it'll be interesting. I can't imagine I would rather watch Yahoo than, CBS, but I think it's interesting. I kind of like to see how it happens. I don't want to watch, was it the Bills and Jaguars? That game doesn't hold a lot of interest for me. It's a game I could probably go to church instead, watching the game. Yeah, it's good. I can't stand the whole Sunday ticket setup, the whole and blatant violation of every kind of anti-cartel law this country has. It's absurd they can do that. So yeah, if they can put it on Yahoo, I think that's great. I think they need more of that kind of thinking.
I got to figure out how to stream the Yahoo channel through my TV. I guess you can do that through Apple TV, yeah?
I don't know.
You're muted, Stick.
Some kind of smart TV you can probably do
Yeah,
it.
no, there's got to be some way to do it.
Yeah, I think Apple TV, you might be able to pull up a browser and do it through that.
Yeah.
So I don't want, we have Seahawks and 49ers on Thursday.
Who's going to win that one? That's going to be a good game because Seattle needs it, but they're not playing well.
I have a hard time taking San Francisco against anybody because they're so unpredictable. Either Kaepernick has a Kaepernick has a great game or he's terrible. He's never at a stage where he's just competent.
Yeah.
Or he's just your above average quarterback. So, I never know who's going to show up. I'd be surprised. I think the game's in Seattle. Yeah, I think I would expect Seattle to win that pretty easily.
How about our picks this year, Phil? That's been impressive. We're up, what, 1,800?
We're up a lot.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm not helping that much, to be honest with you.
No, we're doing really well on the picks. Yeah, keep going with that. We're killing that. Yeah, I'll get it. I didn't get it around today. Let me try and do that tonight before I shut down. I'll get you guys the odds and the picks for this week.
Nice.
And Stick, you need to talk to your technical director over there. Figure out what's causing that feedback.
It's the iPad. It's the iPad speaker's really sensitive. You got a TV going in that room, Stick?
No, I do not. But I don't know. I'll work on it. So, yeah, let's wrap up then. I think we're right around 45 minutes, which is good. Again, we're a couple weeks away, I think, from being in what we would call the stretch run of the season. We still got some important interconference games here that might settle some conference crowns down the line. Big game between the Aliens and the Killers this week. Again, I feel like a little, David and Goliath here, Spinks and Tyson.
Beat 'em. Come on, Spinks.
Give you a good game. We'll see.
It is the halfway point this week of the regular season.
Yep.
And I think as we talked about earlier, we should see some enhanced trading opportunities because I think it was Berto who said it. The 2 and 4 teams that lose this week, being myself. Well, I play the Dirt Devils, so loser of the Dirt Devils Sponge games, and if the Beavers lose, I think, and we're all Southern Conference teams, which actually might help in the long run. But yeah, I think the losers really has to start taking a hard look at where they stand in 2015, and if they're not better off shedding some players.
I really like this. I really like the Sponge in that game, by the way, too. I think we can kick the shit out of the Devils this week.
For the first time all year, the preview, bot reached him. I'm up an 18-point favorite, which I don't think has ever happened before.
Nice.
He's got Forte and James Jones on a bye, so I think you're gonna smack him around this week.
I don't have a defense as of yet, so I'll try to make sure I have them between now and then.
And Stick, like I mentioned, next week we'll do a trades that should happen segment as well.
Good. Yeah, we'll get you on for that. We'll have Bill on probably in a couple of weeks to give us a sneak peek at 2016 rookies. And yeah, pretty soon we'll be doing playoff preview. I mean, it moves fast.
And I got to tell you, if the Sponge win this weekend, I might be looking to solve the Tony Romo dilemma.
Yeah,
good.
There's a lot of potential for some big trades, but yeah, we need a couple teams to maybe take a step back and feel like they're comfortable giving up some players.
Yeah, this week's going to sort a lot out. We're going to see this week and next. We're going to see which teams are moving forward and which teams are going to pack it in.
All right. Well, good luck to everybody except Berto.
Yeah, no Berto though.
We'll be back next week to talk all about it. Good luck and take care. We'll talk to you soon.
Good night.